commissioners before we agree on a meeting.
Welcome everybody to the Board of Commissioners Franklin County Special Meeting. Today is Thursday, July 25th, 2024. I'll call the meeting to order and please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody. Today we are here for the introduction of Eric Johnson, former Executive Director of the Washington State Association of Counties. Welcome, Eric.
This one all right? Great, sir. Thank you.
Maybe just give us a brief introduction of your past experience and for those here that maybe not be aware of.
Yeah,
where you
great.
came
Well,
from.
thank you. Thank you for inviting me today. Again, I'm Eric Johnson. I am the former executive director for the Association of Counties. I was with the association for just about 19 years, so a fairly long time. I started in county government in 1984, so you can do the math. It's now 40 years, a little over 40 years, and that was with Lewis County. And I was with our Parks, Recreation, and Senior Services programs for a number of years. That was my professional background was in natural resource management, parks and recreation. That was my professional background for about 15 or so years. Then in a weak moment, I say, I ran for county commissioner and won. I was a Lewis County commissioner for a term and a half before I came up to the association. So the vast amount of my career, professional, elected, and then again, professional, has been associated with county government. So, lifelong resident of Washington State, third generation on one side, so a long time, a lot of roots in Washington. Lewis County was a similar county, I would say, in size as Franklin County at one point in time. Franklin clearly is probably a 10 to 15,000, probably more. It's really had the growth issues. If you're not familiar with Lewis County Centralia-Chehalis is the main two cities on Interstate 5. It's a rural county. It was a timber county. Goes to the crest of the White Pass Highway. Highway 12 goes right through the heart of it, almost then to PL, past PL. So rural county with an interstate going through it where you see most of your growth pressures similarly along the interstate freeway. So ag, a little bit of agriculture, but timber was the most significant industry. We also had the coal mine at the time as well. We had the Centralia coal mine in TransAlta, so we had that that as well. So similarity in size at the time, but I think Franklin County has experienced more growth than Lewis did. So that's a little bit about me professionally. With the Association of Counties, oversaw the association from both a budgeting perspective, working with the boards, working with commissioners and council members, executives throughout the state of Washington, working legislatively and advocacy on behalf of the association. As some of you know, we entered into the realm of litigating at times as well against the state when we felt the state was not fulfilling either their responsibilities statutorily or constitutionally. And so we started a litigation program about a half a dozen years ago and have been, I think as you well know, engaged in one piece of litigation now dealing with indigent defense that hopefully will at some point materialize with resources from the state ultimately. So happy to answer any questions about my professional background, the things that I can experiences both administratively and politically. But most of my focus point in my career, as you can tell, while I did dabble in the political arena with a big P as an elected official, I didn't stay there because my passion has typically been more on the administrative side and organizational management.
Questions?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. So you retired from Wasac, and So what we are looking for is just an interim position to help us and guide us through hiring an administrator or looking at a different avenue. Are you familiar with the structure at Yakima County?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think that's really one of the big questions that I think I have of the three of you is really what is the scope of the work that you're looking for me to perform for you during the interim period. One of the projects we actually undertook when I was at Wasac was looking at a project specifically for Kittitas County around different structures and different structure options that ranged from a true county administrative structure where all the delegated authority is granted to them, including hiring and firing authority, to a model where department heads report directly to the board and everything in between. And so we were never looking at the charter structure where you dramatically change the structure of county government, but how do you look at the administrative structure of the duties beneath the Board of County Commissioners? And so we looked at different options, and they range from a model like Yakima County, where they have direct reports and a whole series of direct reports, absent a true county administrator, county manager. They have a very strong budget director and budget manager there, and then the other departments report directly to the board, to a county that might have a true county administrator that then has the whole hiring and firing authorities. We have a number of counties that are just venturing into this world as well. Island County, Grays Harbor County, Mason County have all recently hired a county administrator, and so they've gone through a maturation process of what do they want that county administrator to do for them. What does that look like? And that's a discussion that you have kind of ongoing, because what you might have started with a county administrator model, that may not be where you ultimately want it to be as well. So there's different ways to look at it. And so if that's one of the activities you want the first focal point to be, and perhaps more than day-to-day operational management of the organization under your direction, is more to help you think through what structure do you want to have and what are the pros and cons of those structure, because there are pros and cons of that structure. If you take on the day-to-day direct administration, that may mean more presence in the courthouse for you to be available, or more delegated authority amongst the three of you. There's different ways to think about that. So I think one of the things that I certainly offer is the ability to help you think through that on what is best for what you think is best for Franklin County. So there's different ways to look at the administrative structure. And again, the administrative structure underneath the Board of County Commissioners. We're certainly never venturing into thinking about the independent elected offices. That's completely different. That would take charter changes, but does give you the ability to think about how to administer the day-to-day operations of the functions beneath the Board of County Commissioners.
All right. The interim position that we're looking for, how long of a position are you looking for?
Well, as you know, Commissioners, you and I chatted. I am not interested in a permanent position. I'm interested in something on an interim basis. And I think that I have a similar situation where I have a partial PERS retirement, as well as a part through Wasac, which was a nonprofit, not a PERS retiree. So I have a different retirement system there. So for my PERS 2 retiree would be affected after about 900 hours. So definitely would be less than 900 hours. I'm also not interested in being present what I would call 5 days a week. I do have some other obligations, personal obligations. I have a 91-year-old mother that I'm trying to also, be a good son to, and take on that obligation, and some grandkids. So not interested in necessarily being in county, more than probably 3 days a week. So there's some obligations for me thinking through what's important to me, which is how does this fit with perhaps what you want in terms of presence in the county on a daily basis in a full-time role versus that day-to-day supervision of your departments, versus am I coming in to help you transition to a model like Yakima County, which is absent a county administrator, which would be a change for the board by not just having one person to delegate responsibilities to. So I think that's one of the things that I'm trying to, as we think about a scope of work, is what would that scope of work actually look like? And so that may give you some things to think about. It'll give me some things to think about as you think about what it is that you ultimately want in an interim role, obviously. Because if you are moving towards and desire a different model than the one you've had, how do you put in place the structure, the policies, the delegated authorities, et cetera, to be able to do that?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that we're wanting your input. We're wanting your knowledge, because you have served as a commissioner, and then you've got so many years as the Wasatch, being part of Wasatch. We have so many things here that we have been trying to address, and maybe you can be our guiding light on how to get a lot of them done. Just one right off the bat is our insurance policy. We are contemplating going with a different avenue than we have right now, and we've been told by everybody that looks at it that it's unsustainable. And I think you're pretty aware of what we got going on here. We had something put in place by other commissioners that we're paying people not to take our insurance. And it's costing us $2.5 million a year. And it's crippling our county budget. We have public records requests out right now that are just, we need your guidance there. How do we handle this? Do we need to hire a full-time public records request person? OPD, we had a bi-county agreement with Office of Public Defense. It got separated before any of us got here. And now our OPD manager is leaving. Do we want to reunite with Benton County, bring that back together to cut down on the costs of lawyers? I mean, we got so many, I know we'd all like to sit down and meet with you. 9/11 radios, we're talking that it's going to be $30 million to get this put into place for 5 entities. And so we're looking at, and I just talked to a gentleman up at, I just came back from family vacation myself. I got a 93-year-old mother and she still goes to swimming workouts, so drives herself. But really want Liz, I don't know if you heard it the other day, but Everbridge, look into that organization. This is something, when I talk to him, and that guy's going to reach out to me, it's potentially something that could solve. Have you already looked into it a little bit?
I looked at it on the website.
Yeah. I mean, and there's more. But Eric, we just want to glean the knowledge from you. We want you to help get Franklin County back to just being balanced. We're so off kilter right now. We're getting hit from all different sides, and honestly, none of us are career politicians, nor do we want to be. We just want to serve our county. So we really are looking for your help and guidance on getting Franklin County back just to be stable. So I appreciate you even taking on this task, because it's going to be, and I appreciate it. I'll take those 3 days a week just to glean. Got to listen to the people that know what's going on, and I think you could really help us out immensely. So thank you for even considering taking this on.
Just a really interesting side note there is really, I'm curious to know around the desire to, from your perspective, in terms of looking at structure, and then if you settle on kind of putting a time frame in place for that decision, because each of those kind of trigger a next decision. So really curious around your thoughts around, are you just leaning towards, and maybe the board hasn't had the full conversation to be able to answer this question, but of not having a county administrator and seeking to put in place that different administrative structure versus coming in and then starting the recruitment or finding someone to assist in the recruitment process?
Well, and personally for myself, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
that's what I want to talk to
Yep.
you about. You've got so much knowledge on, because you are aware of all the counties, who's got administrator, who doesn't have an administrator, what it entails when you don't have it. I know we got to have somebody that knows how to work a budget and help us get through this budget, putting a budget together for the county and sticking to it. But that's one of the things that I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, fair, very fair answer, yeah.
Yeah, I need to talk to you one-on-one. I'd love to have that opportunity, and I just, I did the math already on the hours, 900 hours. You planning on being here 22 weeks then, huh?
That was per year.
Or, yeah, so that's it for me, and I look forward to meeting with you personally and trying to work through some of these difficulties we have here in Franklin County. So I appreciate you. Again, thank you for just coming and being willing to take on this task.
Commissioner Baumann, questions?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you for coming today and visiting with us. Some of the thoughts that I've got about what would our need be. One of them is to evaluate the need or the lack of need of an administrator in our county, and help us to walk through that. To evaluate the need, or if we were to change structure, what would that look like, and how would we manage that, and how would we assign responsibility? So that part would be definitely important for me to have some assistance in evaluation of that before I think that we're ready to make a decision about that. Another thing is organizational structure, something that we've wrestled with just a little bit this year about how to do some organizational structure in different areas, and I think that that's really important for us to know what responsibilities are and who they lie with, and I think that part, something that is really important and growing more important every day, is we're approaching the budgeting season, and having guidance through that with your experience and background. I think that could be really valuable for Franklin County to help us through that. And certainly for me, having not gone through a budget in this role, would certainly love to have some guidance through that process. And something that I have been working diligently on and feel like that I'm trying to do it by Braille somewhat, and that is grants. I know that there's grants from many sources, and have worked in that realm hard since I got here, but feel like guidance in that way would be really helpful. Everything from grants for our public safety to roads to all kinds of things in between, just to help provide some guidance and structure to what that would look like and how to do it properly. We've had some success with it, but feel like that it's we're working harder, not smarter, and would love to figure out how to do it smarter. And your background and history, I think, could be very valuable to us, and certainly appreciate your interim, idea and that amount of time. I know that I have a lot of willpower and a lot of, I can work really, really hard, but a lot of times for me, I need direction and expertise, and would love to have expertise to help, point me in the right direction. And I can drive hard and with a lot of energy, but I need pointed in a good direction. So for me, that's the biggest part is having your expertise to help guide.
Would you care to elaborate on your budget skills or knowledge of budgets?
Yeah, so I want to also kind of lean into that a little bit, where in Lewis County, obviously was a comparable size budget at the time. Was probably about combined was probably about $50 million in terms of both the operating budget, general fund budget, and the road fund budget. They were both approximately kind of in the $25 million range apiece. And so we had originally, when I came to the county, had a county administrator. We changed that title to be more of a chief of staff, wanting it to be able to work more as a coordinator and a collaborator with the department heads and the other independent elected officials on behalf of the board. And so it was a little different twist on it. They didn't have as many of the day-to-day operations responsibilities, but it was a different functionality. We then, excuse me, created a budget office within the Board of County Commissioners. It was one of the things that we worked collaboratively with the county auditor's office to be able to do that. And it was a transitional period, but it was very functional. And it was something we took very seriously and respectful of the role the county auditor had, but also recognizing that, you know, the main functionality of the Board of County Commissioners is the county legislative authority, is the annual adoption of the budget. It's the biggest policy piece and biggest policy document in the county. And so how you expend your general fund, your road fund, your special funds is a significant policy decision. And so we wanted to have that expertise within our department, working collaboratively and in conjunction with the county auditor throughout the process. So that was my experience as an elected official. Obviously, at the association, you know, from a budgeting perspective, much smaller organization of about $5 million a year for sure. But my role really has been for the past 20 years is being of technical assistance to counties and to boards of county commissioners and county councils as they've gone through the budgeting process, as they've gone through the thinking of the revenue side, is what do we look at in terms of revenue potentials? When do we think about a levy lid lift? When do we think about a sales tax? When do we think about the revenue side? As well as when do we think about how do we think about making expenditure reductions? How do we not just looking at it at one side of the equation? We had a county this year do something that was radically different. San Juan County went to 32-hour work weeks. They did no cost of living adjustments. They did no salary increases. They literally reduced the size and scope of how many hours each employee is working. I'm not recommending that, but I'm just telling you the things that we think about now on both the revenue and expenditure side. You know, you got to think creatively. We had a county think creatively. I'm not sure it's the right decision for a lot of counties, but it's one to be thinking about perhaps as well. Obviously, we furloughed employees from time to time. There's different ways to be thinking about that. You have union considerations. You have union contracts. You've got your I guess what I'm really trying to articulate is that one of the things that I brought to from my experience with the association is hearing what other counties have done. What are they doing? What have they done? What is possible? What's the realm? And then being able to share that experience. Did it work for them? Was it the right? What made it unique to them? What made it successful for them? We just had 4 counties in the spring be able to do public safety sales tax. 4 put them on the ballot, 3 passed. Okay, we can learn from that. What was successful in those counties? Stevens County passed 4/10. They did the 1/10 for jails and then the 3/10. A rural county, and that was to build a new jail. In that situation, Whatcom did the same thing for a new jail. Thurston did it for public safety, 2/10 for a broader perspective. Spokane's did not pass. So you'll be able to look at those options when you go to the public if you want more revenue, being specific and proactive about and accountable for what those resources might go through. So there's different ways to be thinking about both the revenue side as well as the expenditure side, but certainly recognizing that in county government, in the general fund, about 75%, I suspect Franklin County is going to be just like this, about 75% of your cost is going to be to the criminal and civil justice system in the current expense fund. And about 75% of your cost and this gets back to your question, Commissioner Didier, about 75% of your cost in current expense is labor. It's personnel. We are heavily driven. So when you make changes to personnel costs, which is generally comprised of salaries and benefits, large ones, healthcare, and retirement, you look at those costs. It's like, how do you maximize those costs? What are you looking at? Because if you start thinking about trimming the cost of county government, it comes with personnel. And personnel for us in a county is service delivery. And so you've got to start thinking about the impacts on service delivery if you start thinking about the reduction side as well. So there's just, and again, that's a policy document, is where do you want to deliver a higher level of service to? Where do you want to reduce level of service to? You know, what's the liability associated with any of those decisions? There's just so many things that go into the thinking around a budgetary document.
So along those lines, we have a lot of bi-county agreements with Benton County. Are there other counties that have bi-county agreements within the state? And some of ours have been dissolved. And like OPD, we had a great thing going on there where we're not competing for the lawyers. We were actually working together to hire them and to keep them. You know, earlier on, I was talking about us becoming a district with other counties. And Amanda McKinney from Yakima thought that that would be growing the size of government. And I thought it would be limiting government because you're combining and you're making it all in one. There's so many things that's why I'm really excited about talking with you, because you've experienced this as that Wasatch leader throughout the state. You know everything about every county that was going on. And I think we could probably get a lot of good stuff gleaning your mind and working with you for those 900 hours or whatever, how many hours you want to put in there with us, and help us make that decision whether we need an administrator or just a budgetary person.
Right. Yeah, there definitely are counties that have interlocal agreements that are multiple county interlocal agreements for different levels of service, different service programs. And it varies what is the catalyst behind that. You know, we have a significant, for example, juvenile detention facility at Martin Hall that most of our eastern Washington counties take part in. So that was done in conjunction with potential special legislation. So it's also willing to think about how do we legislatively enable things if we can't do that. Douglas, Chelan County is a good example. They have a very similar situation that you have here. You have Wenatchee and East Wenatchee with nothing but a bridge separating them, and that's both where their population bases are. So very similar situation there, to where they've got a number of interlocal agreements, or one county delivers it on behalf of both counties. You've got different organizations. The Public Health District's a good example. Benton Franklin Health District, independent entity. A number of counties have multi-county public health districts. We have Tri Northeast County, where you have Ponderay, Stevens, and Ferry together. So a lot of jurisdictions have found that there is an economy of scale when you begin to potentially deliver those services over a multi-jurisdictional basis. But they're complicated. They're relationship-based. It doesn't all, you know, you're oftentimes tell people you're one election away from it not working as well. So you just never know.
Is there anyone in the audience that may have a question? I appreciate everyone coming today. So if there's something that we missed or you have a question, feel free to come forward.
I don't have a question. I have a comment, Eric.
Introduce yourself.
Matt Beaton. I'm the Franklin County Auditor. A couple things. I really appreciate that Eric's here. There is hardly anyone in the state. In fact, there is, I would argue, no one. There may be somebody that could be as familiar, but even myself, when I ran for office in 2010, I was in the private sector. And this organization, I think he was part of it, where the training was always big. And they had a certified public official program in which, elected officials could get into and learn government. I, of course, was from the private sector, and I wanted to go to the class. I don't know if he remembers this or not.
Ephrata.
That's right. And so it was a little bit controversial as I forced myself into they were like, "What county are you from?" And I said, "I'm not from a county, but my money's still good." And so they facilitated me. And what I know is I'm hopeful that you guys can come together. I'm delighted that this county is, for what we've been going through, if you guys can bring something together and figure the scope out. I've told you this before, and it's not nice news, but last year's budget process was, by all accounts, a disaster from my perspective, just in that it wasn't familiar. And so to have somebody who's been through this and can bring some experience as to how to structure it and what the fact is, it's so relieving for someone to say out loud that is the primary purpose of this board, at least as a courthouse elected, is the leadership through the policy decisions in the budget. And so there's a lot of times in this county we get wrapped around the axle and we lose sight of that higher level stuff. And so having worked through Waco, been associated with whenever Waco and Wasac on it, I can't remember how often, but they would do a was that every 4 years or something? I can't remember. But anyway, I can't say enough about my hopefulness that he sees a path forward to do this. I know there's maybe some negotiation ahead, and I don't want to beg in public, but I'm hopeful we can put something together that you can tap into this level of experience and gravitas that can help turn a lot of things around, because I think it's just the depth of understanding and the desire to make things work for everybody based on the administrative piece and just kind of transcending the political piece, because that's always part of it. I thank you. Thank you for coming, and hopefully 900 hours is enough. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Commissioners, John Rosenau, County Assessor. Kudos, Eric, for even showing up today. Eric's reputation is absolutely flawless. I've only been involved in county politics for 3.5 years, and during that 3.5 years, I've heard nothing, and I mean nothing, but the greatest compliments for the work you've done. Nonpartisan, absolutely will assist both sides of the aisle to do what's right for each and every one of the counties that he's been involved in helping. I know that Waco, and you've had a great relationship, and Jennifer speaks very highly of you. So personally, I don't think that county commissioners could be given a better opportunity than what you've just been presented before you. And other than begging, like Matt had said, we would be foolish in this county not to take his assistance and advice and try to structure things based on just some good input and good common sense that I think he'll bring. So thank you, Eric.
Thanks.
Anyone else in the room? Well, I must say, I agree with the comments that were made today. I mean, we're very fortunate to have access to your knowledge. So, is there any other questions from the board?
Well, I guess, when do we get down to the nitty-gritty? I mean, Eric, you're here, so you obviously would like to help us out. What do you want an hour?
I think we have to do this in
Executive session?
executive session.
Yeah.
So, unless there's
Discussion of compensation should happen in an open public meeting.
It should happen?
It should happen in an open public meeting.
So, I mean, we're just needing to know to finalize the deal, I guess. I take it my other commissioners are welcoming you to come on board. I know I am, and help us out. Mr. Bauman, are you
I'm looking forward to, can we have the discussion of compensation afterwards, or?
That needs to happen in an open public meeting. There's no exec session exemption for compensation.
I'm not asking to talk about compensation in executive session. I'm asking, can the compensation conversation happen after an executive session?
It can happen after. I'm assuming that we can adjust the agenda and come back to,
well, the agenda has executive session on there now.
yeah. So we can have an exec session and then come back to the regular agenda.
would that executive session include?
Can't talk about compensation in an
Oh,
executive
but-
session.
But would it include Eric?
Yeah, we can include Eric in that.
All right, well, at this point, we will go into an executive session under RCW Code 42.30.110, subsection 1, subsection G. And I would ask that the board, legal, and Mr. Johnson be present.
Actually, Commissioners, this is Sean Sant. I would ask that we have an executive session first with just the board and legal counsel, and then we could invite Eric in. Typically, inviting a candidate who is outside the county organization, I don't think that would be appropriate for our exec session, but we could answer questions the board may have before we exit executive session and resume the public session.
All right, noted. Eric, would you mind giving us a few minutes? Appreciate it. Thank you. We'll go into approximately 10 minutes.
Do you want the clerk of the board in here too?
I don't believe so.
John will have to call up the executive session line because the regular call line will mute.
Do you have that number, Sean?
I will call back.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
So we're going,
Live to extend.
so we've come out of executive session. We are going to go back into executive session for 10 minutes. The time is 2:50. We will go back into executive session under RCW Code 42.30.110, Section 1, subsection G. 10 minutes. And the time is 2:51 with Eric and the board and legal. All right, so we've come out of executive session with no decisions being made. I guess now we sit down and find out some questions as far as what you're looking for as far as compensation, and if we can come to an agreement on that, what time would you want to start, and possibly which days of the week you'd like to work. We would like you to, one of the 3 days to be here would be Wednesday. But what are your expectations as far as salary?
Yeah, I think there's three things I would probably cover in this discussion. One is coming to an agreed upon project scope. What is the scope of the work going to be? So we've got good clarity in what I'm delivering to you during those 3 days a week. I would anticipate those being Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I am looking for $100 an hour as being the scope of the work, and would have the discussion of you with whether or not that would be a professional services agreement or whether or not that would be a part-time employee of Franklin County. And so obviously no retirement benefits, no health care benefits, anything like that, wage. So, so just things that I would start to think about. And then, it could be the point in time where you want to consider all of those types of things. You might want to designate, I think, the chair to kind of finalize a scope of work in conjunction with me, and then bring back a potential scope of work and employment agreement.
Okay. And currently, you don't live in the Tri-Cities.
I do not.
Do not. So there would be travel.
Meals and lodging.
Yeah. Okay.
How would you want to handle that?
We could do a straight per diem at the state rate would be fine.
Okay. State rate, is that the same as the national government rate, or?
State OFM puts out a travel reimbursement rate for each entity area, and so you would look at Pasco or Franklin County as the entity area.
All right. Any further questions, or, again, what time frame would you be looking at as far as starting?
I have not,
Or when is your availability?
yeah, I think I probably would need to get back with you to confirm that, but I would assume sometime in mid-August,
Okay.
or early August. I guess we're almost in mid-August.
Yeah, it's right around the corner now. Yeah.
Let me get back with you on a specific date.
Okay. Any further questions?
I don't believe I have any further questions.
Okay. All right, so in conclusion, I will meet with you personally to work out the salary issues and travel and starting date, I guess, and if.
Yep. For me, that works.
Okay, all right. Well, I think it's something that we can definitely work with, and we do appreciate your willingness to come down and help us out. So if there's no other further questions, I guess this meeting is adjourned. And thank you again for coming forward, and you and I will sit down and set a time where we can meet. I don't know if we meet today or tomorrow or next week, whatever works good for your schedule.
Sounds good. Let me maybe get with you just to talk briefly here
Sure.
today before I leave, and then prepare scope of work for you to take a look at.
All right, sounds good. All right, thank you. And no further questions. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.